Hey there, what do you say there, world? Welcome back to another episode of the Racers Recap, Season 33, Episode 8. The Souvlaki drama is about to go down, and boy, do we got a lot of inside info on this one. Joining me today, my man, Dr. James Earl Corley is back. How you doing, brother?
Hey, how are y'all?
I'm doing great, Joey Cavino is on a cruise ship somewhere. But I'm sure you got enough of him last week. And Jen may be joining us. We'll see how everything falls into place. But we're going to get started without them. Doc, how you been? We missed you last week. Everything okay?
Yeah, sorry, I was just working. I was in the ER helping patients.
Yeah, man. It's still tough. Still a lot of COVID stuff going down.
COVID is thankfully taking a turn downwards, which is nice.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great to hear.
Yeah.
Well, what's up to all the early people in chat? Appreciate you. We got a little poll going on if you want to vote in that. Just a nice, quick, easy poll. I have never done one of them on the YouTube page. And if you're listening on one of the podcast services, we're on all the major podcast services. If you're listening, thank you so much. We appreciate you guys as well. Love to have you join us live Sundays, 7 p.m. Eastern. And you definitely... next week, if you're going to join us for one show live, I promise you next week is that show that you want to be here live for.
Oh, sounds spicy.
Yes. As soon as I get a double confirmation on our guest, I will release it. And
I'd keep it a surprise.
No, we got to build that up. It'll be if people know.
Get a triple confirmation.
Yeah, okay, triple confirmation. But once people find out, it will be the most attended live event that we've ever done on this show. Easily. What's up, party people? All right, so this one is Souvlaki. Teams are flown to Thessaloniki, Greece to begin the next leg on Peria Beach. We got 3 starting departures going on here. We got let me see. Next topic. Okay, there you go. All right, we got 3 sets of teams. Kim and Pan, Raquel and Kayla starting at 9. Ryan and Dusty, Lulu Lala at 9:15. Arun and Natalia starting at 9:30. Again, no speed bump. This is the speed bump, the 15-minute head start. Can't say I'm a huge fan of that.
It's not though.
It's
so not.
Yeah. It's not as fun for sure to watch the 15-minute head start. It really doesn't really add too much. And later in the episode, they catch right up anyway, as we'll get to that one. Teams must drive themselves, which I love that the driving themselves to Constantino's olive farm to find their next clue, which is hidden in an olive tree. I love that they brought back the stick shift cars, it's self-drive. It adds another level of difficulty, which I'm never have anything wrong with the race being too hard. If anything, I have a problem with the race being too easy sometimes. I've never seen a thing and be like, oh, that's too hard. I wish they didn't do that.
Agreed. I mean, because here's the thing, even if they do happen to make the challenge too hard, they'll tailor it like during the episode to like make it work. But I agree with you. Sometimes it may be a little too easy. So I'd rather like really make them sweat. Now, all the teams seem to be handling the stitch shift well, which is good. I'm glad people did their homework. I'm glad they remembered and learned how to do a stitch shift.
Yes. And Kayla, Raquel's boyfriend, now fiance, gave her a stick shift driving lesson, and she learned in one day when she went back, which is pretty awesome. So props to her on that. And no, my hat's here, but I figured since this is one of the few times I actually have my head shaved for the show, that I wouldn't wear the hat for those asking in chat.
Well, someone said you had a pink bow on your head because of your little logo in the background when you're sitting back.
Oh yeah, look at that. I got the cat ears. I got cat ears now.
Like you're a Powerpuff Girl.
Yeah, I didn't turn the lights on back there because I just wanted to see how it looks because when I turn the lights on behind here, I'll show you what it looks like. It gets darker. It's so funny. There's more light, but the camera focuses on the light and it gets darker here. So it's because it focuses on the light behind me. It's so weird, but it's weird how light works. All right, let's turn that off just for today. But anyway, I appreciate you guys in chat. Again, get that vote going in the poll, and we'll see how you're feeling at the end of the episode. How many people, who you guys want to win. So far, Kim and Pan are rocking the vote right now with 62 votes in. All right, so Lulu and Lala, Ryan and Dusty working together to kind of get to the olive farm. And once we get to the olive farm, Pan, 6'6", easily jumps up, grabs the clue, and they are out, which causes some separation between them and Raquel and Kayla right off the bat. Immediately gives them a quick advantage as Raquel and Kayla have some struggles. I actually have the video here if you want to see Raquel and Kayla, because I'm going to show you this, and it's going to look quite familiar to some people who are familiar with my proposal video. Check the video out here.
I'm trying to keep
the podcast. I'm showing the side-by-side of my proposal and this current task, which look awfully familiar.
Is that red?
And if you haven't seen my proposal video, Google Amazing Race, fake Amazing Race proposal, and the first thing that comes up. And you literally see Diana on my shoulders doing the same thing, looking. We were at a Christmas tree farm, and we had to go find a Christmas tree, and she had to cut it down, or we had to cut it down. But the clue was up in the tree, and it's very familiar. And I'm going to say that I know for sure that every one of those producers have seen our proposal video, because that's how we got on the show. So I'm gonna take credit for this part of it and say that they just copied the idea because it was so good.
Okay.
Okay, Justin. So Raquel tries to lift Kayla, and that doesn't really happen. Then Kayla gets down and shows you what leg muscles are all about. She throws her up.
Squatted a 120-pound woman. Like, good on her.
Hell yeah, I love to see that. Because normally when you look at them two, like, Raquel is the one that's supposed to do all the physical challenges, and Kayla's supposed to do the mental challenges, and that's what they said, that's what they planned going in. But Kayla just, she jacks her up on the shoulders and just stands straight up, and I got a lot of respect for that. A lot of respect for that. Rune and Natalia leave last by themselves. That's their speed bump. Lulu and Lala, Ryan and Dusty bring their backpacks into the olive farm, whereas the other teams didn't. So they're running.
I don't know why you would. If you're self-driving,
yeah,
you are self-driving, and if the clue doesn't tell you to bring your backpack, just lock it up. That's less things to carry around. You're coming back to the car.
Yeah,
you are.
Yeah, 100%. Like, you have the backpack, unless the clue specifically says you have to carry a backpack. Don't. And it's very, very rare that it says that. Probably 2 or 3 times in the history of the Amazing Race, it said you had to bring your backpack. But, you know, one of them was carrying up the stairs in France or whatever. So, yeah, definitely don't run around with your backpacks. As you could see, Dusty tried to jump up in the air, and he couldn't make it because he had the backpack on and he didn't have the hops. And plus, you know, Ryan's calves are phenomenal. So, you know, he's jumping up and getting it.
You have a mild obsession with them calves.
Listen, I appreciate calf muscles because most people who go to the gym skip leg day. And even when they do legs, they definitely skip calf day. They go for thighs because most people are, you know, getting their squats on or whatever. So I appreciate some good legs. Okay, so everybody is worried about the U-turn. There's a lot of talk about U-turns that didn't make it to air, but everybody's recaps and all the bonus footage, everybody is talking like this is 100% a U-turn leg. Ryan and Dusty are petrified because 2 teams leave before them, and they're like, we have to make up time today because we're definitely the number 1 target for U-turns. And at this point in the race, I would 100% expect a U-turn on this leg. Super surprised it's not coming, or it didn't happen yet. At this point, I can't see it happening.
With 4 teams
and a non-limb
season with 4 teams,
and a non-limb. Like, if you get a U-turn into a non-limb, then it's like pointless. Like, what's the point if you do a U-turn in the same leg as a non-limb? It's like
especially when you're grouping, right? So the time doesn't even matter.
Yeah, so I can't see there being a U-turn this season, so that'll be another first, but. Again, this season will always have an asterisk for a lot of reasons. Obviously, the COVID thing has changed a lot of stuff.
But the fact we still got a season during COVID.
Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take it. It's definitely not my favorite. A lot of things are not my favorite parts of the Amazing Race. A lot of stuff was taken out, but we got a season. So better this than no season 100%. And for them to pull it off during COVID, we're still in COVID, and for them to pull it off and even be casting another season now is incredible for what they're doing.
Right.
Another cool thing that if you kind of picked up on if you watched this, and definitely if you watched the bonus footage, is teams had in their extra notes step-by-step directions for every location.
Wait, I heard them say that, and I just thought it was them writing down directions. Like when they were talking about the stop sign.
Yeah.
I thought that was just them having write down directions. They had how did some of these teams get lost then?
Because it's like go to the blue sign or the second blue sign or the fourth blue sign, and teams miscount, or, every sign is blue. So there was things like that, like go to the blue sign and then make a right, or go to make a right after the second blue sign. Hey, what's up, James from Will and James is here. He says he's hoping there will be a U-turn. At this point, I can't see them being a U-turn. I can't see it happening. 4 teams left, now on a limb, 3 legs left. The last one's a double episode. Next episode's probably the non-limb, and then
there's no way they would do it in the finale. So if it's gonna happen
could you imagine? Oh my God, a U-turn in the finale?
No way.
That would be insane. That would be
I imagine next week we're gonna have I think next week's gonna be an elimination episode, and then the following week will be a lead into a continuation lead, a non-pit stop lead.
Yeah, and it could be similar to 4 teams even going to the final leg and 1 team, being eliminated immediately.
I can't watch 3 more hours without an elimination, Justin.
Well, it could be eliminated like Brooke and Robbie or whatever from season 25.
In the middle of the finale?
Yeah. Listen, I'm not saying I would enjoy it, but I'm just saying it's possible.
In this theory that you're saying, Arun and Natalia could have been saved for 4 legs plus an elimination leg they had?
Yes, because the odds are that
I would be shocked if they beat any team in the next couple of legs.
Yeah. The problem is that it looks like there's a needle in a haystack challenge next leg, which technically any team can win because it's needle in a haystack. There's no skill involved. It's literally who's going to turn over the right one just by luck. There's very few strategies in a needle in a haystack challenge. We actually took one in China, and there was very little strategy to it. We had 6 baskets of cell phones. The only strategy we had was dump out all the cell phones and make one basket all of the ones that we already opened. But there's really no strategies for needle in a haystack challenges, so it's pretty much pure luck. And we see Kim crying, we see Dusty going nuts, and Rune and Natalia fighting. So there's a lot of things going on next week. We'll get there. All right, so Roadblock time. Dun, dun, dun.
No.
Who?
Was it?
Yeah, teams must drive themselves to Mariana's Vineyard to find the next clue, which is basically who wants the rap. My topics didn't show up. Yeah, who wants the rap? And it's this 60 of them. What are they called? Domades? Domades?
The grape rap.
Yeah, grape leaves. This is grape leaves. All right. And you have to figure out the right way to wrap them. You have to figure out that you put them in order in a straight line. So the 2 big things were the vein of the leaf had to be on the inside, and you had to line them up exactly how the picture on the screen shows you.
But the line up wasn't really a challenge, so she just directed you to line it up. The vein she didn't tell you about, because when Kim walked up, she told her no, it needs to be in line. So Kim just went back and fixed it. With the vein, she just took him off to the plate.
Right.
And really, only one person struggled with this, from what it looked like edited wise.
Yeah. Absolutely, and it looks, Raquel was having serious issues because every team came and passed her at this point. Even Arun and Natalia, who were 30 minutes behind her, caught up to her at this point. This is the first real task of the leg, and they already caught up to her. So for me, this seems like almost a linear leg, but it's not, because teams were literally going past each other and up and down, started here and a lot. This is probably where the most passing of teams happened along the race, which is pretty interesting to find out. And yes, for those of you who think there's only 2 episodes left, there's 3. Elise already confirmed they filmed 11 episodes. And if you look on some TV guides, they already confirmed that the finale is a double episode.
Yeah, so there's 2 weeks left, but there's 3 legs left.
Correct. 2 weeks, 3 legs. So Arun, and again, if some of the things that I noticed on this task is Kim, super fan, of course, gets there, and what does she do? She picks the table closest to the demonstration. That's what super fans do. So when she doesn't have to really leave her table to run over, but even though she does, and she did mess up, but she went over, checked, went back and fixed it. So she still got in there, knocked it out, did a good job. Arun was one of the few people who noticed and said, okay, that the veins go down on the inside, so his attention to detail was really good. Dusty, wrapped like 3 or 4, went back to the table, looked, and then noticed that it was the vines on the inside, or the veins on the inside. So that was pretty cool. And from the bonus footage, Kim actually predicted that this was going to be one of the challenges. She said, because this is one of the national foods, she said, Greece is known for breaking plates, which is going to be in the next episode. Is going to be known for domades, which is their national food. So she was like, we should probably be wrapping 100 of these, but they're wrapping 60. Like, I love where her head is at. She's always in the race. Even here, like on the next roadblock, she's sitting down taking notes. Like, love. If you're going to run the race, that's how you should run the race. At least one member of your team should be just like a Kim, always taking notes, always in the race. And always doing the little things that make the big difference.
The one thing I did like that she did is she did not wait until she finished all 60. She trusted her gut. Her gut was telling her something was off.
Yes.
So she went back and checked and figured it out. Like, trust your gut. That's the big thing.
That is definitely one of our 10 commandments. For the people who are waiting for our 10 commandments episode, we're going to be definitely doing that soon. One of the 10 commandments is trust your gut. There's a reason energy is real, and the energy that is telling you something is wrong is because something is wrong.
I still stand by that's how me and mom got eliminated. It shows you in the episode. I didn't, like, my gut was telling me something was wrong. Someone else was telling me it wasn't.
Yeah, and you want to believe. You want to believe the more positive. But that gut is it's trust your gut. It's a huge thing. But some teams do and some teams do. And Arun was paying attention. Dusty kind of gets it on his first try, and he has my favorite line of the night, obviously. As he's rolling up the domades, he says, "This is where my Colorado extracurricular activities come into play." So a little shout out to Colorado, where they got legalized marijuana, for those who don't know. I'm sure he's wrapping some joints or blunts or however he does it. He got his little style going, so he had no problem with that. He also runs a bed and breakfast, so he's very familiar with cooking, and he used to work in the food industry, so he's very comfortable around food as well. Lulu looks like
someone in the chat. Miralesto Mo was asking if the lady was demonstrating. She was, but it wasn't like they don't give you step by steps, right? So like you have a person whose job is this, and they're just like cranking them out like nobody's business. So like it's not a step by step. It's you have to just kind of watch them do their thing and try to pick up on it.
Yeah, and she's just sitting there constantly doing it, and you can't ask her questions. She's just sitting there like just doing what I do. She probably wrapped 400 or 500 of them while these guys are sitting there doing it, the way as fast as she was doing it. Like, and they tend to do it a lot faster than you can keep up with.
100%. The one thing that I wish Raquel would have done earlier, because my first thought was when they give you a plate of bad ones and good ones, just look at, like, sit the plates down and stare at it for 60 seconds and be like, what is the difference between these two? Because it, like, some of them on the bad plate were like nicely rolled. So like, clearly it's not that. Mm-hmm. So like, it's some minor detail that you're overlooking, and just compare apples to oranges. Be like, what is good about this and what is bad about these? Like, find the similarities.
Absolutely. And especially when it's clear like that, you literally have 2 plates to sit there and stare at. And if you just go back and do the same thing and you don't know what you're doing wrong, then why are you going back and doing it again? You don't even know what you did wrong. Figure out what you did wrong and then go back. But adrenaline, again, makes you do stupid things.
I know, but you got to think through all these things. Like, I had thought tests like this. When we had it in Argentina, when I messed up, like with the meats, I think Rick was the only one that got it on the first try.
Right.
But when they say no, my whole process was that as I break it down one at a time. I literally take one piece of meat, go back and forth and compare. When I figure out what it is, go to the next one. Like, you just got to break it down. Yeah. Samantha did overwhelmed otherwise.
Samantha makes a good point. Kim is also was also a television producer, so she thinks like a television producer. So that's why she's kind of thinking ahead. Like, what would I do as a television producer? I was also a radio producer, so that's kind of how I was thinking as well. And that's like I'm always trying to figure out, and that's how I studied. One of the things that we knew where we were going, so we had time in airports to study. And that's the one thing that James Earl did very well as well. He got always thinking ahead, taking notes of where things were before we got there. So that does make a big difference, and that's something that they can't do this season because they didn't know where they were going. When they left Corsica, they had no idea what country they were going to.
I didn't know if you ever noticed me doing that, Justin. I tried to be really sneaky about me doing that.
Well, I mean, like 2 or like 3, we kind of met up and shared notes kind of a little bit there. And so I kind of knew that you were one of the few people doing it because everybody else was just kind of waiting around like, duh. And then like you told people, and I'm like, oh my God, why are you telling the teams who are not studying? Like, just let them fall behind.
And my plan paid off.
Let them fall behind, bro.
They were never. Listen, we passed that out. I had a plan. My plan worked. I'm just mad at my plan working.
Yeah. Well. All right. So we're on to another root info. Let's go to another. Oh, before we go, Dusty again, super duper extra when he gets it correct here, which infuriates a lot of people. Some people see similarities to the way I acted to the way he acted. The only time that I ever like got crazy loud or like rubbed it in somebody's faces was with the Texas boys because they had some rivalry with me and they literally were trying to turn teams against me. So the only time that I ever like purposely rubbed it in was to the Texas boys. Every other time was just genuinely a kid in a candy shop celebrating the fact that he's a super fan living a dream and doing well. Dusty, on the other hand, I don't know what his deal is. He's so like, yeah, even gets to the parking lot screaming back up, yeah, and I'm like, oh.
It doesn't bother me as much. I think, if you want my opinion on it, I think he's nervous about roadblocks. And he gets very excited when he kind of pushes through that barrier because I don't think he wants to be the reason their team fails.
That makes sense. That definitely makes sense. And I agree with in the chat, they says the judges, Luke says the judges for this episode were hilarious. And I love the judges on this episode. Demetria was phenomenal. One of the all-stars, one of the all-star judges ever in the history of the race. She will never be forgotten. Nope. I love the way that she handled it. She didn't help anybody. She just, nope. Nope. No clue. I just love it. All right, so teams must drive themselves to Mamo's Katina Stand and Heraclea Beach, where they must order the dish of the day from Dimitra, the vendor, who would inform them that it was souvlaki, which a lot of teams seem to have never heard of. And she said you have to spell it out first, and then after you spell it out, you have to eat it, and then after you eat it, you got to find your own clue, because she didn't have it. It was actually on the wrapper, which makes a lot of sense. If you watched previous seasons, they've done similar things. Dimitra, I said she should be what every Roadblock judge needs to be. And Leo from last season said that this is what the cake judge should have been like. And I totally agree. Instead of saying, drippage or blah, 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 or telling you what you did wrong, or this flag is not in the union, that flag's not in the union, he should just be like, no. And move on. You figure it out. Like,
it is a lot harder when they just say no.
Yeah.
And you saw a lot of teams flounder, and even in good teams, right? So Kim and Penn, I don't think any team just immediately knocked it out of the park. Every team kind of sat there and just stared at each other and was like, what? So, I mean, it makes it tougher for sure.
Yeah, she's just like, nope. But that's what makes the race fun, and that's what makes the people who did a little bit of that extra work stand out, and that's why Kim and Penn pretty much instantly got it. Kim initially thought she ate it. She thought it was actually inside the stuff that they ate it. She's like, did I eat it?
I feel like if it was a clue in the food, you'd been like, what is this shit I'm eating?
Yeah, you would taste something. Yeah. So Kim and Penn, Ryan, Dusty, Raquel, and Kayla spell it right on their first try. The two teams that had real problems with it, Lulu and Lala and Arun and Natalia. And Arun and Natalia, they took about 12 to 15 tries to get it right. I'm going to say Lulu and Lala spent over an hour here. Because on the bonus footage, they ran to the beach. They ran to the beach 3 separate times. Because they had no idea.
They were hours behind the other teams. They had to have been.
Oh my God, yeah. Oh my God, yeah.
I mean, first off, did you like? I know this is jumping a little ahead, but it's kind of not. When they had accidentally found the pit stop, did you see how far of a run that was?
Yes.
Why did they run all the way to Phil? Here's the thing, like the moment you see Phil and you don't have a clue that says find Phil in your hand,
yeah,
just turn your ass back around. It's not time.
Absolutely. And some people are like, why don't they just check in? They were there ahead of people. Well, yeah, you got.
Not how that works.
Well, you can, sure, but you're gonna get 4 hours for every roadblock. You're gonna get at least 45 minutes for every route info. So they would have had to take at least a 6-hour penalty if they wanted to check in.
Which is you're done.
Death. I mean, most legs don't last 6 hours. Never mind like beating somebody by 6 hours. But I mean, they might have been like 2 or 3 hours behind everybody else at the end of the race. We'll see how that goes when we get there. So yes, they actually, if you watch the bonus clips, Lulu and Lala went to the beach. They asked somebody and it said Shuvlaki, and they just thought it was like Shuvlaki, and they kept saying Shuvlaki. And the person said, I barely speak English. I can't write in English. You know, like I could speak a little Portuguese. I can't write in Portuguese. So why asking me is very hard. Then they went to a guy with a cell phone, and he kind of said Suvlaki, and he spelled everything, but he left out a U. So they ran back. It was wrong. And then they ran back to the beach and asked that same guy who got it wrong, who had the cell phone. He tried to hand them the cell phone. They said, no, you keep the cell phone. And then he called somebody who spoke English, but couldn't spell in English.
One second, Justin. There's a lot going on in the chat. I have to address this.
Yes, get it.
So there's multiple people saying that they did a recap today that said they didn't know it was Phil until like you turned the corner. They only ran halfway. The pit stop looks very different than any other challenge within the ledge.
Yes.
There is a lot of extra stuff around a pit stop.
Yes. A lot of production.
It's a lot of extra stuff. There's tents, there's like boom mics, like big old boom mics, there's lighting stuff. You can tell what it is from a distance.
Yeah.
Unless it is completely hidden, but looking at the overhead view of that dock, it wasn't that hidden.
Yeah. And again, the tents are a huge giveaway because that's like where you go and you stay in the tent while other teams are checking in. Like, so you technically don't see them checking in or things like that, and you get health checks, whatever. Like, there's a lot of things going on at a pit stop.
And I know they didn't make it all the way to the mat. That was edited because you could see when they were talking to Phil that it was them at the end of the race. They were just a lot dirtier and just like worn, but they still had a conversation with Phil. It's hard to edit that together.
Yeah.
Because like there was back and forth between them that made sense. Maybe it was some creative editing. But again, the pit stop looks very, very different.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. And I get it. Like if you're looking for something and you see like a camera or something like looks like a camera, you're like, okay, maybe that's it. But there's really very rarely any overhead cameras or weird cameras unless it's like the final place that you're going to, which is usually the pit stop or, you know, what I'll keep on racing or something like that. So, yeah. But yes, obviously they didn't study the race like other teams did, so they don't have all this other information or these thoughts. I mean, you could tell by the way they raced, they definitely didn't study like other teams did. Yeah, Raquel and Kayla pass Arun and Natalia, Lulu and Lala here. So even though they fell behind, they catch up and they pass them here at this point because both of them, one, had navigation errors getting there, and then when they did get there, they couldn't spell the stuff right. So I'm going to say that Lulu and Lala spelled it wrong at least 20 times before they got it correct.
Yeah, I'm not faulting that one. I'm not sure I would have spelled that off the top of my head right. And from where that thing was located, you were having to get like traffic that was passing by, right? So there was not foot traffic there.
Right.
So like,
they ran to the beach and they were asking people in their like Speedos, like, you know, Europe, they love their damn Speedos. So Will and James said they told them today that they ran about halfway. It was editing to make it look like it was the whole way, about 1.5 hours. That makes more sense. That makes a lot more sense. I mean, an hour and a half seems like right, because they were just very confused and they did a lot of running back and forth all the way to the beach and all the way back. And obviously they're doing these things in remote locations because of COVID, so a lot less people to talk to. So I get why they may have went back to the same person. But if somebody's going to hand you a cell phone, and I understand that Greek letters look different than other people's letters, and I got into a little tiff with Lulu and Lala on Twitter yesterday. I'm saying, if you know how to use a cell phone, you can change settings. But even if you don't know how to use a cell phone, you can go to Google. There's a microphone button, and you could say, translate souvlaki, translate to English souvlaki. And if you don't even know how to say it, tell the Greek guy, say translate, and have him say it in Greek, souvlaki, and it will translate for you.
I did a roadblock where I did this challenge. It was the Poland roadblock where we had to find all the food names.
Mm-hmm.
You can use a phone. I had a Polish phone that was in Polish, and I went to Google and changed it to English. Like, you can.
I know. And now I wasn't trying to get under their skin or make any comments that I thought they were going to be upset with, but she was like, I don't know any human on earth that would let a stranger use their phone and start changing your settings. And I'm like, it's literally 2 buttons. Like, in my, it's like, dude, change 2 buttons. But even if worst case scenario, Google also has a photo. You could take a photo and look at the word, and it'll translate the word on the screen for you. So you can have the guy write it down in Greek and use his phone to stare at it, and it'll change the word into English for you. So anybody in the future who has any problems and you have access to a phone, Google Translate is the ultimate friend. It will change the word if you say it in a different language, and if you write it in a different language, it will translate it for you in any language. There's like 120 languages on Google Translate. But anyway, that's for another day. So let's see. Lulu and Lala never had an onion before in their life. Or one of them has never had an onion before in your life. Can you believe somebody's like almost 30 years old?
It's fine.
Onion?
She's a picky eater. Some people don't like it. I get it.
I just don't know any cuisine on earth that doesn't include onions somewhere. Even had it by accident, like a McDonald's burger. Like, I mean, somebody like.
But yeah, I mean, I get it. Like, you don't like onions, so like you.
How do you know you don't like onions? You never had one.
She probably had one and realized she didn't like it.
She's like, I never had an onion. It's like, okay, I can understand not liking something, but never having something that like common, that baffles me. And then she was like gagging because of it. They were the only team to actually eat 2 of them, which again took some time as well.
God bless her that she had to like, that clue said both of them have to eat some component of it, or else, I think Lala didn't like the food, correct? Lulu was the one that was.
I get them confused. I don't know. They're both the fake names anyway. Their names are like.
I'm pretty sure Lala is the one that is picky, but she still had to eat parts of both. And I guarantee you, it's just the clue said like both teammates have to eat a portion. God bless her. Like, God bless her for getting through 2 of those. It was unnecessary, but at least she was a trooper in doing it.
Yeah, all right, we'll give her that. She was a trooper. She got it down, didn't throw up, and they eventually got it right and moved on to the roadblock, which which is, again, like, the next roadblock is very interesting. With Aruna and Natalia, with this, they almost had it because they kept saying it was souvlaki because they didn't hear Demetrius say it as well as they could have. And I have like a shot of where, like, Phil, you could see Phil at the mat, and Lulu and Lala are not in the frame, and he's talking to them. So they didn't go all the way to him. But
I mean, he definitely told him, like, well, next when you're done, you'll know where to find us.
Yeah, he was definitely talking to them.
Have a conversation.
Yeah, he was definitely talking
to the air.
Yeah,
maybe he was just talking to the air.
Maybe. All right, so who wants to be iconic? Teams must drive themselves to St. George to find their next clue, and this is the Who Wants to Be Iconic challenge, an ultra brain challenge. This is where you send up the smart member of your team, but you don't have an option here because this is one of those double roadblock legs, and when there's 2 roadblocks in a leg, usually I would say 90% of the time, maybe 100% of the time, if it says whoever did the first roadblock, the other person has to do the second roadblock. So you don't really get a choice here. So if your brain person did the first challenge, and you're in trouble because this is 100% brain challenge.
I would have chewed this challenge.
How would Mama have done though if you switched it? Like, I would have struggled. Diana would have done really well.
Mom would have struggled, but she was shown to be pretty resilient. She figured out ways to do it. She wouldn't have got it in the first try. I just know my mom. I would have chewed that challenge and spit it out. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that challenge is made for you.
Listening to an hour lecture and getting 3 random questions on it. So, like, that's my bread and butter.
Yeah, I mean, you've been to more years of school than most people have for sure, just being a doctor, and you're very smart, and definitely the smartest dude on our season. Brain-wise, race-wise, I mean, second smartest. I love Kim's line. It's a church. It looks churchy because she's driving by and she sees the little churchy thing and she sees it. Followed up by the second best line of the episode behind Dusty's extracurricular activities is when Penn asks, "Could you go back? You know, can I ask and see if you can go back? Don't talk to the priest." Don't talk to the priest. And Penn still believes that this guy wasn't a real priest because he's like, priests don't talk to you like that, man. They seem so rude. All right, in chat, do you think the guy was a priest or was he just an actor? Don't talk to the priest. So team members must pay attention to a lecture about 10 saints. They were going to be asked questions about 5 of those saints. And then when they got to the table, there was 20 saints at the table. So 20 pictures of saints, 10 stories about saints, and 5 questions about 5 different saints. So one question about each saint. And so it was very interesting. I like these type of challenges. They definitely separate teams. There's a couple people had good strategies here. Somebody who definitely didn't have a good strategy here was Ryan, who heard 5 stories and then just left. Just like,
hey, I'm not even entirely sure he listened to 5 stories.
Like he again, when he was there, he was looking away. He's like,
he was stretchy.
He's like not even focusing on the pictures. Like I don't understand.
But they're not going to make you listen to a story and not ask you about a lot of fine details.
Yeah,
but they just will.
Especially showing you pictures. One whole page is a photograph, and you literally ran past it. I mean, even if you didn't see the tables, there was 5 tables, by the way. So if every team got there was a table for each team, which I like.
I love that.
So you can't see like who other teams are guessing. You would have your own table, which I love those challenges. I hate when you could see what other people are guessing and then be like, oh, it's those, and they got it right. Like, I hate that. I love that there was 5 tables to choose from. So he listens to 5 of them and then runs off, gets it wrong, comes back, listens to 5 again, and is about to leave. And the only reason he stayed is because Kayla was there. Otherwise, he would have left again. And the priest also said, why are you in such a hurry? Why are you in such a hurry?
Audrey in chat just said the edit made it look like he got on the first try. I'm assuming she means Penn, because Ryan definitely had 2 opportunities within the show.
Penn was the only person who got it on his first try. Natalia got it on her technically her first try, because here's what Natalia did, which was a super fan move. So Natalia got there, listened to 3 minutes of it because somebody else was there listening, ran off to the table, got all the questions, ran back, listened for those specific questions. As soon as she heard all of those 5 questions, she ran back. So
100%. That's how you cheat that system.
Yeah, 100%. So that's a great thing to do. If you're already late and you know you got to listen to it again anyway, you get a couple bits of information, run off, find out what the questions are, because he's already in the middle of it, so you're going to have to listen again anyway. Find out what those questions are, then run back again. That's the only one who didn't have the real choice to do that was Penn, because he was the only one there by himself. Everybody, and Lulu and Lala, but I mean, they were so far behind at this point. So Penn, like, super impressive for him to get it on his first try. Ryan, let's see. Ryan listened to it 3 times. Ray coming in with the super chats. Thank you so much, Ray, man. You've given more this season than I make pretty much all season long with the ad revenue. You are very, very, very much appreciated. Thank you. So, yeah. So it took about 12 to 15 minutes total to read. So it took at least 24 minutes, 36 minutes if you had to listen to it 3 times. Kayla listened to it 2.5 times. Ryan listened to it 2.5 times. And I don't know how many times Lulu and Lala listened to it, because I didn't catch their whole recap, because they just did it, I think, yesterday or today. I can't catch up on all of them. And a lot of them don't really give you behind the scenes info in the first place, because they're scared, or production has to listen to their podcast before they can release them, and they edit out anything that wasn't shown on TV. So you had to pick 5 of them. Penn's superpower here, his ADHD hyper focus comes into play, nails it on his first try. Kayla pretty much nails it on her first real try. Everybody else gets it pretty much on their second try. Ryan leaves, has got that. Lulu, it looked like they made it seem like Lulu got it on her first try. I'm not 100% sure about that. But then, I mean, Kim and Penn were way ahead of everybody here. Like, you don't see Kim and Penn in the same scene with anybody after, like, the first task. I'm
pretty sure they were out of the episode after, like, 25 minutes into it.
Yeah, and then, most of the episode doesn't feature them, even though they won the leg. There was no drama in who was going to win the leg. The drama was who's going to come in last here. And as we go, we can head to the pit stop. The pit stop here. Another Kim and Penn victory. So first place, second place, third place has been the same for the last 3 legs, which kind of stinks for viewers, even if you're fans of Kim and Penn, who I want to win the race. But, I understand. One of the reasons people didn't like our season, the same team keeps winning. People don't like that. But this is first place, second place, third place, the same for 3 legs in a row. And it seems like it's going to stay that way. Ryan and Dusty could potentially jump up a spot or 2, but we'll see how that goes. So $7,500 each, which is the best prizes on Amazing Races when you get cash, especially when you're a couple and it's really shared money anyway. But this is Raquel and Kayla. Ryan and Dusty get the roadblock before Raquel and Kayla, but Raquel and Kayla pass Ryan and Dusty on the way to the pit stop and to snag a second place. So their navigational skills got them a second place finish, and they were in dead last after the first roadblock, and then caught up and finished second into this leg, which is super impressive for Raquel and Kayla. And then obviously you got Lulu and Lala, who coming in last place, but obviously, Arun and Natalia, they get their 4th place finish, and Arun's super excited, picks up his daughter. His daughter's like, you need to calm down a little bit. Cindy Wigglesworth, thank you so much. Jeez, thank you for the super chat. That's so appreciated. Thank you. You'll match Ray. The battle of super chats going on. Who's going to be the biggest fan? I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Arun and Natalia snag a 4th place finish here. Okay, so let's get to a little drama. So if you look at the picture on the screen, there is a cell phone in Raquel's hand at the pit stop mat, clearly celebrating the fact that they came in second place. There is a cell phone in her hand. Now, I originally thought that she must have snagged it from a local and said, like, I'll leave it at the hotel or I'll mail it back to you or something like that. A lot of times very pretty women can get away with something like that. Like a dude, a guy asking, like, hell no, I'm not giving it to you. Unless you're going to... You
asking, let's be honest.
Yeah, if I'm asking, nobody's going to give it to me. I get it. But 2 very pretty girls are like, hey, I'll give you your phone back. So I was like, holy cow, why didn't they show that? That's like a great move. If you're able to snag a cell phone from somebody in a place that's hard to navigate and in a language that's hard to understand, and you got a cell phone in your hand, that's such an advantage. But I was told by the Holderness family that this is for a upcoming promo. I'm assuming it's a Travelocity promo, because that's usually the only time you get to use it. But there was already a Travelocity promo with Ryan and Dusty, scanning through their treetop villa. So I don't know. It's just something that you noticed, and there was a photo on them. You zoom in, it's like that is 100% a phone in her hand. And they did not show it, but that's why they didn't show it. It's for a promo spot. Maybe it's going to be on the next episode that we'll see at some point. So that's what that was. And this is where we got Lulu and Lala jumping into the water, which was filled with jellyfish that they didn't see. That's not something that you want to get stung by, because that hurts. My wife got stung in Miami, and yes, I did pee on it. And that's not the best thing to do, by the way.
Not at all.
And we laughed so hard. I was like, I can't do it while I'm laughing, and you're staring at me. I can't do it. It's just hilarious. It's just so stupid. Don't ever try to do it. It's just dumb. And Phil says that was the most dramatic exit that we've had in a while. And, for them to finish this high, I mean, 5th, for the type of racers that they're great people. Again, we don't judge people. We judge racers here. Incredible people, but not the best racers. They were very fortunate with the situation that they were in with this season to make it this far. There's very few seasons.
They did kind of, when they came back after COVID, they hit a stride there for a second. They lost it. They did. They lost that stride. But for a second, they were hitting that stride hard.
They were doing well. I mean, they did a 2nd place and then a 4th place. They did have 2 10th place finishes when they first started. The first 2 legs were 10th place finishes, which was tough. But, they're very gracious. Do you think they have any chance at a returning season? I mean, they're not all-stars. I mean, they can't be back on an all-stars. Like a second chance season, do you think they have a chance at a second chance season? A 5th place team that came in 2nd once? They're very likable. They're twins.
Very likable.
But I just think that I think there's a lot more deserving teams of a second chance. Teams that legit should have a second chance.
That's a fair statement.
Like if they get cast over the cheerleaders from our season, like that's travesty. Like the cheerleaders from our season, they put in work. Like they hustled. They deserve a second chance. Like
I feel that.
They could have been in the top 3. I mean, we had a 55-minute penalty, and they lost by like 5 minutes.
They almost beat y'all.
They literally drove past. If the cab driver would have stopped, we would have been eliminated. But they drove past, they got out and ran back, and like we barely made it. So I think they deserve a second chance. And female teams competing against each other for that spot. Because there's only a certain amount of slots for female teams. So I think there's a lot of more deserving teams of a second chance, even though that they were great racers, very gracious at the end. Obviously I'd have been bawling my eyes out, and they were very gracious and respectful, which is awesome. All right. So let's get to some bonus footage, and then we'll talk about this thing that's coming up on the screen here as well. Pit stop. All right, let's go to the awards first. Do you have a seal clap from last week that you want to throw in, or no? If not, that's cool. If you could start with this week's seal clap, if you have a seal clap for somebody this week.
This week's seal clap is actually going to go. This was a tough leg for me. I just don't feel like a lot happened this ledge.
Yeah, I totally understand that.
What is my seal clap for this week? I'm going to go a little off normal and say that my seal clap is going to go to Kayla for how supportive she was when Raquel was doing the roadblock.
Them two have an incredible relationship.
I feel like that support is what is keeping them in the race, and it's why they went from 5th to 2nd. Because in that situation, it's very easy to get frustrated, and I think that's going to be my seal clap for the week, because I think her positive energy is what kept them in the race.
Absolutely, that makes such a huge difference. Having that positive energy, that positive mindset. I mean, they are two of the best teammates. Like, as far as teammates, they are probably top 5 teammates to ever run the race. Not like teams, but teammates. The support that they show for each other, you've never seen them mad at each other, ever. They're never, ever mad at each other. When they mess up, they giggle and smile and laugh at each other. And that goes such a long way on this race. And that's something that I don't think they get enough credit for. So that's a great seal clap. Great seal clap.
I remember my seal clap for last week. I had to recap the lead real quick to remember. My seal clap is when Penn finished the freaking roadblock with his magnifying glasses on and was jumping around. Yeah. That was phenomenal. Like he was doing like a jump seal clap without the seal clap, but he had magnifying glasses.
Yeah. He definitely had goggles. He had on some blue tinted goggles doing the happy dance. That was for sure. Yeah, that's a great one. For me, I would love to say Kim because she picked the thing next to the judge again, but I'm gonna actually give it to Natalia here. I like her strategy of listening for 3 minutes. She knew she was gonna be late, ran over to the table, got the questions, ran back, and then got the solution. I think that's an awesome superfan move. If you know you're gonna have to listen to it again, you might as well go and get the questions so you know exactly what you're listening for. So I'm gonna definitely give it to Natalia for this one, and that helped them get into a fourth place. They didn't know how far Lulu and Lala were behind them at this point, so that could have been like the big difference maker for sure. It turned out it wasn't, but it definitely could have been. All right, so bonus footage. Teams had no idea where they were going. Arun and Natalia spelled Slovakia at least 12 times. They asked someone, and that person used a C instead of a K. So people in Greece don't know how to spell in English, which you can expect that, we just expect that everybody knows how to speak English, but not everybody knows how to spell English in English. So it's tough. Lulu and Lala spell Slovakia wrong 15 to 20 times. They asked two different locals. I already talked about that. Ryan and Dusty say for them to go home. Oh, this is one in the bonus footage that I'm surprised they showed. So Ryan and Dusty, one of them said this, and tell me who you think it is. He's talking about for Lulu and Lala to go home before Orion and Natalia would be pathetic.
That sounds like something Dusty would say.
I know, but it was Ryan.
Really?
Yeah. I'm like, damn. And I totally understand what he's saying, but it's just the way that it came across was not the best. I understand why they didn't put that in the show. I'm just surprised that they put that in the bonus footage at all. They've worked hard to get there. Arun and Natalia have been saved a bunch of times. I can understand where he's coming from. It's just the wording was pretty bad.
I get it. And I am not saying they are good racers by any...
Right.
I'm not trying to say they're better racers than Lulu and Lala, because I don't think they are. But there is a component of luck to the race.
Yes, for sure.
It doesn't matter how much you prepare, how much you are a super fan, how much homework you have done. I think at maximum, it's 85% skill, 15% luck. And that's a maximum for me.
Yeah, there's definitely a luck component. 100%. Getting the right cab driver, like understanding you, like, we had unlucky times in the race. In China, we got into a cab, told the guy where we wanted to go. He was like, yeah. 10 minutes into the ride, he was like, I don't know where I'm going. Like, then why did you say yeah? Like, like this, just silly things. Like,
the same thing happened to us in what led to 3. We missed that first bus with y'all because a taxi driver literally drove us around for 10 minutes and dropped us off at where he picked us up from because he was just scamming us. He just scamming us for money.
Yep, and exactly. We ran out of money 3 times, twice because they charged us double what everybody else got charged because they knew we were the rich Americans with TV cameras, so they charged us double. And
it's just there is a component of luck. I don't care how good of a racer you are.
100%.
But you cannot fault a team when they get lucky.
Correct.
And Arun and Natalia have gotten lucky at times, but that is just the name of the game.
Yeah. I mean, when you're going to have a terrible leg and finish last, it's very lucky to get a non-elimination. It's extremely lucky to get 2. It's like almost impossibly lucky to get 3. We'll see how that goes. Raquel and Kayla always giggling and happy. Even after seeing St. George's Church on the wrapper, then they just... they searched through the watermelon truck. There was a watermelon truck there. Dusty thought there was going to be the watermelon throwback challenge where the most famous, notorious splat in the face challenge. He thought that was going to be a throwback challenge. But Raquel and Kayla had the wrapper, saw the name of the church, didn't believe that was the clue, and were still searching around the whole area, inside the watermelon truck, around everything, even though the thing said St. George's Church on it. Like, why would a rapper say St. George's Church by accident?
Yeah, that if I saw that, like, I do not fault them for not seeing that at first, because I would have done the same damn thing.
Yep.
Eating the thing, throwing the trash in the garbage, and moving on. But if you see like a location name, and it wasn't like made in China or like,
right.
Like brewery. It was a name of a church on a wrapper from this restaurant.
Hold on, I'm just going to stop things right now. Audrey S., I promise you 100%. Producers, she asked, do the producers decide what certain teams get lucky or is it random? I promise you 100% 100%. There is nothing on this race that the producers control after the word go. And the 100% proof of that is having a team like the green team win 7 legs is not good for the Amazing Race. It's not good for the show. It's not great television. If at any time that they were going to throw a monkey wrench on purpose or try to do something on purpose, it would have been during our season. 100% during our season. There was there's no chance that they would ever risk the integrity of this Emmy award-winning show, which is literally Bertram and Elise's baby. Elise came up with this show. This is Elise's baby. They would never taint the product by ruining it, by trying to influence the winner of the show. I promise you 100%. They don't help anybody. They don't do anything that's going to influence the outcome once they say go. I promise you that. So we could just stop talking about that at all. They would never want, they would have helped like Team Fun staying longer. You know, they would try to get the Cowboys to win it. I mean, they gave them 3 chances and the Cowboys still couldn't win it. That's the best they could do. Keep bringing back a team that they know is super popular, trying to get them to win. Like the Cowboys can run 10 times. They're not going to win the race. They're okay. They're okay racers. They're just okay. Just deal with it. All right. So Kim and Penn, Raquel and Kayla. Oh, sorry. This is a bonus footage. Kim thought she ate the clue. Kim and Penn's kids are absolutely adorable. If you haven't watched their latest recap, their kids are in it. Their daughter Lola looks like Julia Stiles. Just beautiful kids, very happy. Kids can't believe how great that their parents are doing. It's just adorable to see it. So I would definitely go watch that. They weren't in a touristy area, and there was no road signs in English. Like in touristy areas, there'll be more road signs in English. Because this wasn't really touristy area, there was not road signs in English, and there's not like stores that have people who speak English, better. Touristy areas tend to hire people who speak, English and other languages as well, multiple languages. This wasn't a touristy area, so that's one of the reasons they were so hard with it. Kim did predict that they were going to be breaking plates and rolling domades, which is like a super fan move again. But all right, anyway, let's go to next week. Next week's bonus, where we got to see they're going to another. I'm assuming it's going to be in the same Greece location. I don't know which part of Greece, but there's going to be breaking dishes, which symbolizes the end and the beginning. It's usually done at like weddings or funerals and things like that. Needle in a haystack challenge where turning over rocks. You got Arun and Natalia yelling at each other. Dusty's absolutely furious. Kim is crying on the race. Again, that counter's going up, and most likely
it's getting deep in the race now, right? So you are at this point in the race, you are tired, exhausted. You've probably lost about 12 to 15 pounds. You really haven't slept well in weeks. And your stress has been at a 10. So I did it. And this is where you start seeing cracks in teams.
All right. Bowden Horst says the Boston Rob plane was very suspicious. If they were going to rig the race, they would not rig it for Boston Rob and Amber to lose. Boston Rob and Amber at that time were literally the biggest reality stars in the history of television. Before like the Kardashians and all that, obviously they're probably the biggest now. But before them, Rob and Amber were the biggest reality stars in the history of television at that point. They would 100%, if they were trying to rig it, they would rig it so Boston Rob and Amber would win it. So they would just get huge news. It would be out there like huge. Like it would be so big for them to have Boston Rob and Amber win the Amazing Race. So like if they were going to rig it, they would not rig it for them to lose. Trust me on that one. Like again,
ready for them to come in 8th place on the All-Stars.
Yeah, right? They would definitely, they don't want the Boston Rob and Amber to be on 8th place in All-Stars. They don't want Justin and Diana to go on a 5-leg winning streak where it gets boring, where people just don't want to watch anymore. There was literally an article saying Justin and Diana are ruining the Amazing Race. You could just Google that. Justin and Diana ruining Amazing Race. There's a fucking headline of an article because we are winning so damn much. That's not good for the Amazing Race. Parody is always best for shows like this. So I promise you, it's not the way to do it. All right, so next week, non-elimination leg. What do you think the chances are next week's non-elim?
I truly don't think it will be. So what I think is going to happen is there's 3 legs left.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be an elimination, and then it's going to be a lead into a continuation leg. So I think the last 2 legs are going to be like, you just keep racing.
Like a mega leg to the finish.
Yeah.
With 3 teams?
with 3. If there are 4 teams, if we,
but I'm just saying, like, if there's 3 teams going into the last 2 legs, when was the last time we had 2 people competing for the final? So everybody's going to know it's a mega leg going in. You mean what, the start of that leg?
I think I 100% think so.
Oh, we'll
Justin,
see.
we can't have.
I think 80% chance next week's a non-elimination leg, and it's probably a run of Natalia again. That's just my opinion. That's the way I think it's gonna play out. All right, look at a couple questions on Facebook. Okay, seal clap. He did the seal clap. Yes. What do you think the time difference was for the last 2 teams? We think at least 2 hours, hour and a half to 2 hours.
They drove a long time. It sounds like they stayed at the food truck for a long time.
I don't know for sure. I don't know if Lulu and Lalo, anybody actually addressed it. I'm going to say, 90 minutes to 2.5 hours.
Which, in terms of race, is huge. That's a huge differential.
Yeah. Audrey asked, Justin, did you ever think, let me give another team a win in the middle of your huge winning streak since it's bad TV? No, but I'll tell you what. The leg in China, me and Diana already discussed it, that if we won, that leg that we came in third with our penalty, if we won, we were going to give Kelsey and Joey our trip to Hawaii. And we were going to give it to them at the mat. So we already predetermined, we discussed that. We were like, if we win this and they come in second again, like, we're going to feel so bad. Like, let's give them, like, the trip to Hawaii and let them.
Justin, you know what the bigger argument for all this is not being predetermined is? There is no way they would have let y'all get on a plane alone to Poland.
Yeah.
Because y'all finished the lead before any other team even got on a plane.
Yeah. Which,
like, if they were going to rate it that much, they wouldn't have let that happen.
Yeah, they would have just said, like, okay, the app broke and you're going to have to get on the same plane as everybody else. For sure. And then that would have pissed me off, like, to no end.
But literally, none of us had a chance to beat y'all that lead. Y'all had, like, a 7-hour jump on us.
Yeah, and we didn't know that. Like, so we didn't have any idea. We were at the airport for the connecting flight looking for everybody. Like, okay, they're probably going to connection. And Diana was like, maybe they got on a flight ahead of us. I'm like, we literally saw the app. There wasn't a flight ahead of us. There's no way anybody's ahead of us. And she was worried the whole time. Somebody snuck ahead of us or everybody's ahead of us. I'm like, there's no way. And turns out we were like, 6-7 hours ahead of you guys. And then got bunched up and wasn't able to keep any of that lead, which we didn't deserve that much of a lead anyway. But
no,
yeah.
I was gonna say you didn't earn that lead, and on that lead,
you
did.
Yeah,
I'm not taking your other on that lead. You did not earn that
much. Yeah, we did not earn that much of a lead. 100%. But yeah, so trust me, they would never risk it. Risk it for the biscuit. Let's see if there's anything on Reddit. Okay, there's not. So let's talk a little bit about the new CBS show. I don't know if you saw this. CBS bought Viacom or whatnot, so they own the rights to the challenge, which is why you're seeing like Big Brother people being on the challenge, and it's actually changing the dynamic of that show, so they're going to change it a little bit. They're now having a spin-off show called The Challenge CBS. I think they're going to change that name, but it's going to be The Challenge CBS, and it's going to be Amazing Racers versus Survivors versus Big Brothers, maybe a Tough as Nails people thrown in there, but right now they already said Survivor, Big Brother, Amazing Racers are going to compete on a version of the challenge, and the people who win that are going to go and compete on the Challenge War of the Worlds, which is going to include winners from the American version, Argentinian version, Australia's version, UK version for the first ever Challenge World title. So they're going to create this challenge like mega series. So they got the MTV's challenge, you got the CBS challenge, you got challenge from all over the world, and the winners from all of those are going to compete in this new show called Challenge World Champs. What do you think about this? Who do you think are some amazing racers that are going to be asked to compete? I'm from our season, like Josh and Tanner, 100%. I think they'll get an invite. Jacked, young, good looking. I mean, when you think about the challenge, they want young, good-looking people who are probably going to hook up with some chicks and get into some drama, right?
100%.
I've never seen. Well, I watched the challenge when it used to be Real World versus Road Rules. Like that's when I watched it.
But they may be trying to rebrand it, Justin.
Why would they try to rebrand it? They're going to throw away all the MTV people? Like, I mean, they said it was right now. The tentative title is the Challenge CBS. That's a tentative title.
Big Brother, I agree with you. It's going to be people like Dusty and Ryan, Josh and Tanner, Christy and goodness, she's going to murder me. Krista and Tiffany. Krista, if you're watching this, you're going to absolutely murder me.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, they're kind of tiny. I mean, I know that they're adorable, but they would get destroyed with like some of these girls that are in it. Like Jen would probably get an invite. Like, you know, she's a super athlete, you know, gold medal winning athlete, young, good looking. She would never hook up with anybody because she's married. And so are Jen and I mean, so are Krista and Tiffany at this point. And they like people who are single, hot, and jacked. It's pretty much how it normally is. But
overall, I don't think it's bad for any of those series, right? So if you bring in new fans that watch the challenge and love these people and then don't want to go back to the original shows, all that does is bring more viewers to Big Brother, Tar, and Survivor.
Yeah.
So like, it's not bad at all.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. I like it, obviously. I actually, when I saw this, I literally said, fine, I'm going to start getting in shape just in case. I mean, why would they ever call like a 46-year-old dad like me? But just in case they do, I'm going to get in shape. I'm going to get my abs back, and I'm going to be ready if they ever give me a call. I don't think that's going to happen. If they ever do an All-Stars.
Abs? Is that like 60s, 70s?
Abs? I had abs. I do have a picture of the one time that I had abs in my life. And that was when I was coming off.
When they had to put like the photo paper on the clicky thing. It was like.
I did a 100 days vegan challenge. And I was vegan for 100 days, and I was doing 100 push-ups every day. So I did 100 days vegan, 100 days of push-ups, and I literally got abs from it. So I'm still vegetarian, so I'm gonna try to get back into it. Started doing my 100 push-ups a day. I'm gonna do 20 minutes jump rope because I love jump rope for cardio, and I'm gonna do 10-minute planks every day. So that's what I'm gonna start to do to get in shape for it, just in case it happens. So if you see me working out, that's why I'm working out. A lot of people, I already started working out. They're like, did you get invited to All-Stars? No. If I get invited to All-Stars, I'm not going to say anything because I'm not ruining my chance to get on All-Stars. Yes, in the next season of Amazing Race is 100% not All-Stars. I guarantee you that they're already casting. And the new casting director, I don't know if he's a big fan of mine. Never responds to me at all. But that's a whole nother thing. He also... Jesse. No, it's Jesse. He casts Amazing Race, Big Brother, and Tar now. So he's casting the three.
Jesse the new Lynn?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And he's also the new Robin Cass as well. So he took over Big Brother as well. He took over all the three shows. Like he's a big dog now.
That's a huge job.
Yeah, he's a big dog now.
I mean, he was back when he casted our season. He was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, he was like her number 2, and now he just took over number 1 spot for all 3 shows. So that's like a huge deal for that dude. So he's worked his ass off to get that. So good on him. Definitely not hating on him. Yes, Corey Cool would be a good person for something like that. I mean, I'm sure they'd love to have Tyler, but I don't think that's Tyler's mentality as far as like competing like that. But I think Corey is more of a competitor in that sense. Yeah, I think maybe we'll do an episode when this season is over. Maybe we'll do an episode of we'll go through every season and pick, the most likely people to get cast from every season, starting from the most recent going back.
Say it's going to be from the last 10 seasons, right?
Yeah. They're not going to go too far back. I mean, they're not inviting anybody in their 50s.
No, I mean, shit, Justin, our season is season 27, and that was 7 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, I'm 46 at this point. That was what was some of the most effed up thing about like our season. Like I was the second oldest male on our season. Your mom was the oldest, and then I think
by far, mom was the oldest by far.
By far, and then a paparazzi, right?
Yeah. So mom was 10 years older than the paparazzi. They were in like their low 40s.
Yeah, and I was in my late 30s. So I was like the third oldest person, and like should have been like the underdogs, like people rooting for, and they were like I was the bully of the two beautiful 20-year-old Texans, 6'3" jack dudes. Somehow I became the bully.
Justin, don't make us rehash this.
I was not the bully.
I've grown to like you.
I was not the bully of our season. Stop it.
You were a lot.
I was excited, and I told you why, right? I came clean and told you I had a medical condition. that we'll talk about at some point. But yes, all right, guys. I appreciate you guys. Let me get through the chat if there's anything else I missed. Anything? Your 20s probably get invited. They're both like jacked and like into CrossFit. I could definitely see them on. And obviously they've already been on Survivor. One was like first boot and one was the winner. So yeah, I can see them getting on for sure. So yeah, we can have some fun discussions. Hit me up on Twitter, #RacesRecap. I'll gladly like chat with you and go back and forth with you. And like I said, after this season's over, we'll do a special episode of who would we cast on to represent Tar. Like if we're gonna put together, 10 people from The Amazing Race, who would we want to represent to go in?
It's hard from Tar.
It is because it's hard, but it's easy. Because it's like you can look at people. All right, it's not going to be Arun and Natalia. Like you can go through this season. Okay, the only two people be Ryan and Dusty, and
Raquel.
Well, I don't think even Kayla. Like Raquel was more of like the physical. Like I'd probably Raquel from this. Like there's only a couple people from each season that would even think to get an invite. You know what I mean? Like Anthony, maybe. Spencer, probably not. You can go through like that. And so I think we can go through and say, okay, we'll see how that goes. On who they would do. So that will definitely be a special episode. Thanks, wifey. That'll definitely be a special episode after the season over. Like I said, make some plans to be here next week, and please pay attention to my Twitter page @JustinClassic1 for the big announcement. If this happens, I will reconfirm. This guest said they were coming on 2 weeks.
Quadruple checked that desk.
Well, yeah, I'm not gonna blow it by prematurely.
You announced that yes, and they aren't here. I may not be here because that'll be so awkward.
Yes, it would be. Okay, I'm gonna try. I will do my best to do my duty, to guide my country, to obey the scout law. All right. Anyway, I appreciate you guys. As you know, time is the most valuable thing that you have, and for you to spend any of it here with us means the world to me. I love talking about my favorite show with super fans and some of my favorite people like James Earl.
Have you met my cat?
Oh, no, I've never seen your kitty, little green-eyed bandit. So I really appreciate you spending any of it here with me. Come say hi. Come on, you got your makeup on. You're still beautiful. Say hi. Anyway, Diana doesn't like the fans. She doesn't appreciate the fans. I won't even grace them with your face. We really appreciate you. So thank you so much. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for hanging, for liking, subscribing, sharing the video. The more you guys do that, obviously I don't do this for the money, but I appreciate you. See you guys next week. An episode you don't want to miss. Tell your mama, tell your dada. I promise you, this is going to be a good one next week. Later.
Bye.